worship her, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. If you're newer to our community or we just haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm the Reverend Manish Mishra-Marzetti, serving our congregation as senior minister. It's my privilege to welcome you this morning on behalf of myself and our chancel team. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary in person, live streaming from home right now, or watching on demand at a later time, it is good that we've chosen to be together in community this Sunday. As many of us know, our congregation has been meeting continuously here in Ann Arbor since 1865, helping bring alive the vision of a free and liberal faith, one in which each of us is able to explore and discover what it means to be human as we support one another on that very human journey with our collective love and care. If you're newer to us and you're with us here in person, we are glad that you've taken that chance to explore who we are. We hope that you'll find here a like-minded people, one who share your values and your commitment to bringing alive those values in the broader world. If you're a visitor or a new person and you're here with us in person, we invite you to join us following the conclusion of this service in the Redmond room, which is outside those double doors. It's the first room to your left. In that space, there will be members of our staff or community that will be available to you to answer questions about Unitarian Universalism more broadly and or our congregation more specifically. If you're newer to us and you're joining us via the live stream right now, we invite you to take a moment and introduce yourself in the online chat. We know that there'll be members of our community who are also there who will be delighted to welcome you into that space. If you're newer to us and you're watching on demand at a later time in the week ahead, please know that you can reach out to any of us on staff, up to and including myself. We would be delighted to more personally orient you to our congregation. In addition, we invite you to take a moment to go to UUAA.org/newcomer survey. At that link, we have an opportunity for you to share some information about yourself, and this will help us stay in contact with you and share with you important information about upcoming Sunday services and happenings and activities in our congregation. As we gather this Sunday, some of us here have just returned as part of a delegation to Transylvania, a section of the country of Romania, where there historically are Unitarians in Eastern Europe, which our movement, Unitarian Universalism here in the United States, is connected to. Our congregation, First UU Ann Arbor, has a partner church in a village called Kezdi Vásárhely in Transylvania, and we had the chance to meet the ministers of that congregation and their lay leaders, and we bring back warm greetings from our partners. If you are interested in hearing more about this experience and learning more about our Unitarian Universalist partnership with Unitarians in Eastern Europe, we'll be having a service the third Sunday of November in which delegation members will be sharing some of their experiences with our community. So stay tuned for that. And if you see any of us who had recently traveled, feel free to ask us about the experience. As we continue grounding ourselves in heart and spirit for today's service, we'll be reflecting on the theme of sanctuary, being a physical space of hope and possibility for ourselves and for others. As we prepare to be in reflection together on this subject, I want to invite us to join together in what's called a responsive reading. And if you're not familiar with this, I invite you to turn to your gray hymnals, if you have one near you here in person. You're going to open reading number 557. If you're joining us online, the words of the responsive reading, it's entitled A Common Destiny by the Reverend David Eaton. They'll be posted in the online chat. What we're going to do is I will offer the words that are printed in regular font, and if you're here with us in person or joining us online, you can respond by reading the italicized portion. This is A Common Destiny by Reverend David Eaton. All living substance, all substance of energy, being, and purpose are united and share the same destiny. All people, those we love and those we know not of, are united and share the same destiny. Birth to death, we share this unity with the sun, earth, our brothers and sisters, strangers, flowers of the field, snowflakes, volcanoes, and moonbeams. Birth, life, death, unknown, known, unknown. Our destiny from unknown to unknown. May we have the faith to accept this mystery and build upon its everlasting truth. As we hold that deeper reality of a shared destiny as humanity, as a gathered community of Unitarian Universalists, we are now gathered for worship.
The blessing of sanctuary resonates deeply with me. My thoughts turn less to traditional sites of sanctuary, the grand cathedrals of Europe and their magnificent vaults and stained glass, than to smaller, more intimate settings. The candle in the window, a fire warming the hearth, a warm loaf fresh from the oven. This simple scene of welcome grants us comfort and belonging. We step inside and find ourselves at home. In this vision, our chalice is the candle in the window. Its flame lights our way, draws us in, creates for us a place in the world. Born during World War II as a sign of safe passage for those fleeing Nazi persecution, our flaming chalice lives on as a beacon of hope and sanctuary. When we light our chalice, we are declaring that we are home and we are safe. And we do not lock the door behind us, but keep it open to all who come to us for warmth and safety. This morning, Ed Lynn will light our chalice here in the sanctuary. And as Ed comes forward, I invite those of you in the live stream to light your own chalice and enter your location in the chat. This moment, naming your place after the words, "The chalice is lit," makes for a lovely ritual in the live stream. Yours is the candle in the window. So please, join us. Let us speak together our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action we light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Thank you, Ed. There is much about Unitarian Universalism that I love, not least of which the wondrous fact that we are a non-creedal, congregational, covenantal faith. At no time are we held to a rigid discipline. You will not hear us say that if you don't believe X, or if you do believe Y, you don't belong here. Because wherever you are on your faith journey, you do belong here. Our covenant is not a recitation of belief. It is a promise, a vow that binds us together in peace and in love. We covenant to dwell together, to search together, to be together in beloved community. And when we fall short, when we break covenant, and it happens, we renew our vow and begin again in love. Each week as we revisit this vow, we are reenacting the miracle of renewal that resides in our covenant. Please join me as together we say, "The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another."
One of the questions we human beings are inevitably confronted with is whether the things we are doing with our life, our words, our deeds, our actions, whether they're making a difference for ourselves, for others, for the larger world around us. This is part of why we come together in a variety of ways as humans in sanctuary, is to take our individual efforts and collectivize them, and perhaps through that help make the impact even larger. Thinking today about our actions, both individually and collectively, presidential inaugural poet Amanda Gorman has written a children's book on this very subject entitled "Something Someday," in which she shares some thoughts on the nature of action and trying to do good in the world. This is "Something Someday" by Amanda Gorman, with illustrations by Christian Robinson. You are told that this is not a problem, but you're sure something's wrong. You are told that this cannot be fixed, but you know that you can help. You're told that this is too big for you, but you've seen the tiniest things make a huge difference. You're told that this won't work, but how will you know if you've never tried? You're told to sit and wait, but you know people have already waited too long. You're told that what's going on is very, very sad, but you're not just sad. You're scared and confused. You're angry. And maybe, just maybe, a little hopeful. You're told not to hope, but you keep hoping anyway. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone. But someday, somewhere, you find a friend. someone who will hope with you, who believes in your dream, someone who will fight with you. You make a promise to each other. You say, there is a problem, but it's our problem together, so we can fix it together. The problem is big, but together we are bigger. You make another friend and tell them it's okay to be sad. And they tell you, sometimes we'll lose, but that's all right. We'll try again. And so you do, together, working, together, beginning, over and over and over and over, until you're no longer beginning, you're winning. Suddenly, there's something you're sure is right, something you know you helped fix, something small that changed, something big, something that worked, something that makes you feel hopeful, happy, loved, something that is not a dream, but the day you live in. Something that makes you smile as you tell someone else. The words of Amanda Gorman, inviting us to keep trying, even when the trying may seem futile or hopeless, trusting that together with others, even the smallest efforts do matter, can ripple out, can have an effect that we can't always immediately see. May we hold that vision, that promise, that possibility dear in our hearts. This Sunday, as our younger ones are gathered in an all-ages chapel, we are here together reflecting on this theme of community, possibility, and how we collectively come together to create that hope and possibility for one another, not just through our presence, but also through our generosity of financial resources. In support of that, Ed Lynn, a member of our executive team, will be sharing some words as we launch our congregation's annual stewardship campaign.
Thank you, Manish. Every year in October, we have our annual stewardship campaign, when congregants and friends make pledges to cover our operating budget for the following year. Since pledged income accounts for about 90% of our annual operating revenue of $1,250,000, this is important. Now, $1,250,000 breaks down to about $24,000 a week. And you may ask, how do we do that? And the answer is simple. We do it as we have done it for the past 160 years. We do it together. Although we face another challenging year, we do have some good news. Because of the planning we did in 2021, the donations made to the resulting capital campaign will fund a $43,000 balloon payment, money we already have on hand, and enable us to retire our mortgage in 7 months. Five years early. We will be debt-free for the first time in almost 30 years. The same capital campaign enabled us to have an energy audit, do remedial work, and cut our energy usage by 20%. And the same campaign allowed us to expand our solar array, increasing our annual solar savings to $20,000. Both of these savings are already baked into this year's budget and make next year a little less challenging. The financial projections we did early this year, which led to a staff reorganization, also help lower operating costs next year and in future years. These and other actions will help, but significant headwinds remain. Medical insurance premiums, our biggest expense other than payroll, are expected to increase substantially, costing us an additional $15,000. Our assumed 3% inflation adjustment for staff will cost us another $21,000. Together, these will considerably offset the mortgage savings expected in 2026. And there will also be the inflation impact on everything else we purchase. And costs are only half of the challenge. Revenue is another challenge. Now, I realize these are difficult times to be requesting funds. The political upheaval in Washington has left some in our community without jobs and others with jobs, having jobs with uncertain futures. Can we do it? We have for 160 years, so I see no reason why not. How? As always, together as a community, each doing what we can. Now, you might think with a budget of $1,250,000, what will a personal pledge increase of $100 or $200 do? The answer? A lot. A whole lot. You are not alone. Do the math. If everyone could increase their annual pledge by $200, our 350 pledge units would generate an additional $70,000. That large number is the power of community. So, I ask each of you to look at your present pledge. If your finances have been adversely affected by the economy, see if you can sustain your present level. If not, pledge what you can and know that we will hold you in care. Those of us who can will pick up the rest. If you are relatively unaffected, please see if you can increase your annual pledge by $200. If you are enjoying financial good fortune or booming stock market, please consider sharing your good fortune with an even higher increase to balance those in this community most financially affected by the turmoil. The theme of this year's campaign is Sanctuary for Hope. Manish once spoke about hope, pointing out that hope is more than a feeling or a vibe. It is an action, a creation of the future. Our hope is action, a concept foundational to our Vision 2050. We are creating our future. We saw this 2 weeks ago in our social justice fair. The social hall was filled with tables for different social justice actions where you could engage to create change, create the future. We are aiming to complete the drive this month, in a month. As an incentive to pledge early, and for a bit of fun, we will have a weekly raffle to win one of 4 gift baskets. The first drawing will be held next Sunday. If you pledge now, your name will be entered in all 4 raffles. Stop by the stewardship table as you leave to see what's included in the basket. To close, I think you will agree that now, more than ever, our presence here is not an option. We need us. The wider community needs us. Your generous pledge and donation will help ensure that we retain a strong presence and that we create the better future we all desire, together as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed, for helping introduce our annual stewardship drive. If you're newer to our community, I wanted to take just a moment to explain some of the basics of what Ed just introduced and spoke about. In our Unitarian Universalist congregations, we refer to our annual fundraising drive as our annual stewardship drive. The financial commitments that come in as a part of this campaign, we refer to them as pledges. Pledges are essentially, they're not a legally binding anything. It is your best guess as to how much you will be able to contribute for the calendar year ahead, for calendar year 2026. They are not legally binding. You can change them at any point in time if you need to change the number, but the financial commitments that are given to us in writing as a pledge, though that is what is used to determine our budgetary planning for the next year. So if you're newer to our community and you've been giving cash or checks into our baskets on Sunday morning or electronically, just kind of on your own in the absence of a pledge, that is deeply appreciated. Thank you. And if you could convert that or parallel that with a written commitment as a pledge, then the money you're already giving can be part of our budgetary planning. In the absence of that, it's not. So that's a little bit about financial pledging and why being a part of it does matter. If you are new and you've never given a pledge before, we encourage you to please consider becoming a pledger in our community. Any amount at all is deeply welcome and appreciated as a financial commitment, as a pledge. So please don't think that, it's a small amount, maybe it's not worth giving as a financial commitment, as a pledge. It is. Please consider doing that. We encourage you to. As Ed mentioned, we are in an environment of increasing costs. So what this means is that returning a static pledge, an unchanged pledge from the previous year's number, if we were all to do that, static pledging does not lead to static operations, because in an increasing cost environment, increasing costs mean we need to raise more money in order to do the same level of operations that we're already doing. Is everybody with me on that? Does that make sense? Okay. So in order to maintain static operations, in order to maintain what we're already doing today, we need to raise more additional money for the year ahead. Now, as an incentive to participating in our stewardship campaign and our annual fundraiser, Ed mentioned there are these gift baskets. I had a little bit of fun with this at our General Assembly, it meets once a year, and it was this past June. I tracked down the president of our denomination, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, and invited her to sign several copies of her latest book, which is called Love at the Center. And if you win one of our gift baskets for getting your pledge commitment in early, in that gift basket is a signed copy of Reverend Dr. Betancourt's latest book for you. So, so get your pledges in. Oh. And we have our first commitment. Look at that. Thank you. Please give as generously as you can, and thank you for participating in our annual drive. Generosity. Part of what we do on a monthly and ongoing basis is once a month we share our Sunday collection with a local social justice partner that is completely in alignment with our values here at UUAA and doing good work in our local community. This month, we are partnering with Dementia Friendly Celine, which is doing some great work in our local community, and including right here at UUAA. I can attest to the fact that they have a memory cafe here twice a month, and I'm often here in the office when that meets, and it is well attended by folks in our community as well as the broader community. It's one of the things I hear about when I'm out and about in Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County. People say to me, "Oh, you're part of the church that hosts the Memory Cafe." And then they want to hear more about us, and they want to know how they can get plugged into the Memory Cafe. It's a beautiful, beautiful partnership that we have around this, supporting both caregivers and those in need. If you'd join me in offering a warm welcome to Jim Mangy, who's Director of Dementia Friendly Services at Dementia Friendly Celine. Welcome, Jim, to our pulpit.
"You saved our lives," she said. She was the wife of a man living with dementia. And she said, "We now have so many things to look forward to. Your memory cafe, your movies, your plays. We are so grateful." And the husband of a woman living with dementia, he said, "When I bring her to your dementia-friendly movies, it's like I have my wife back for 2 hours." Another couple emerged from our movie event. Husband, he was living with dementia. He was smiling. But she was sobbing. I went to her. I asked her, "Didn't you have a good time?" And she said, "Oh, yes. I had a wonderful time. I just had a date with my sweetheart. For the first time in 9 years, we shared popcorn. We held hands, just like the old days." And that's why we, Dementia Friendly Services, we run about a dozen different community-based programs for persons living with dementia and their care partners to help them live in the community with less difficulty, less stigma, less isolation, and more dignity, more respect, and more enjoyment. And that's why we run America's first dementia-friendly movie program down at Imagine in Celine. It's won some state and national awards. And that's why we run the Come As You Are Memory Cafe for persons living with dementia and their care partners. And we are so grateful that after you guys gave us a really great deal on using the social hall, we were able to grow that memory cafe to 70 people coming twice a month. And I'm very sorry if the Memory Cafe disturbs you sometimes. We often, at the Memory Cafe, we have live music, and we very often have spontaneous outbreaks of infectious dancing. Now, later this month, we're going to do an innovative dementia awareness theater production in the social hall, and also a dementia caregivers training day. And And these and our other events, like our dementia-friendly chorus, our dementia-friendly art fairs, our dementia-friendly workshops, our dementia-friendly shopping events. They're run by a growing paid staff and an even larger group of great volunteers. And we're making an ever-widening, significant difference in the lives of people living with dementia and their caregivers here in Ann Arbor, but not just here, increasingly statewide, from Detroit to Holland to Petoskey to Alpena. And your hospitality and your generosity is so important to the work that we are doing. We are so grateful for your support. Thank you very much.
Jim, thank you for the good work you're doing. I love that UUAA can help host such an important program as this. It could be any of us that were in need of such services, either as a person in need or as a caregiver. So what a beautiful thing that we're able to help support and make this available to the wider community. In just a moment, the ushers are going to come down the aisles to collect this Sunday's offering. This Sunday's offering will be shared. It's a shared collection with dementia-friendly Celine. I invite you to give as generously as you are able. If you were planning on giving cash, if you were not maybe planning on giving anything, maybe see what you've got in your pocket, see what you can give today. And if you're planning on giving, is there a higher bill up that you've got? If you'd like to give by check, you can give either by check today or mail it and check to the office in the week ahead. Note that you want to offer it to the shared collection for dementia-friendly Celine. We also have the opportunity to give electronically if you prefer that. You could do so by going to UUAA.org/giving or via text message by texting 73256, texting UUAA to 73256. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received and collected. As our ushers bring forth this Sunday's collection, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we offer our familiar words of dedication. Let's join our hearts as well as our voices to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. Please be seated. In that spirit of weaving a tapestry of love and action, of co-creating a sanctuary that is full of hope and possibility, I've invited my dear friend and colleague, Reverend Eric Hausman, to share some good words with us about our being a sanctuary of hope. Would you warmly welcome Reverend Eric back into our pulpit?
It is a real honor to be back here with all of you, and as much as I like being in this pulpit, I think we'll start outside of the pulpit with a visualization exercise. Can you close your eyes for a minute, or leave them open if you want to, but imagine with me what associations come to mind when you hear the word sanctuary. What image comes to mind? Say again? Safety. Shelter. A little louder? Peace. Holy place. Garden. Oh, yeah, kids hiding their food on the sill to make sure that food was safe. Inclusion. You know, I like your answers a lot better than mine. You know, when I close my eyes and I just imagine what the word brings up for me in terms of connotations, the first image that comes up is like a nice historic brick building with no one coming anymore. Like, I think of churches that I grew up in that have closed. And when we think of all of these values of inclusion, of safety, of holiness, another example comes to mind where 20 years ago I was living in Boston, and I wanted to just check out the church that was down the street from me. So I go on a Sunday morning, and I walk in, beautiful Episcopal church, big stone building, and they say, sorry, you can't go in the sanctuary. It's we don't use it anymore for church. And I'm like, so what do you know? We're open right now, and so what are we doing? And they said, well, the main part of the sanctuary we've turned into a shelter for people experiencing housing shortage, but we're still worshiping, but over in this other space. And so they had like a little room off to the side, maybe about the size from here to the wall, and that's where they had a worship service. And what was fascinating is that this blew my mind. Like, this is a completely different vision of sanctuary and church, because they had, so instead of live music, and I don't support that decision to not have live music, but they had a church karaoke machine with the remote control, and the pastor would start off the service saying, what do we want to start off singing? And Mrs. Smith would say, I love Be Thou My Vision. And he'd say, okay, what key? Oh, D, no, that's a little too high. So it's all MIDI, so he could just adjust what key it's in. And then they'd sing together. And then halfway through the service, I felt something furry brush across my foot. And I sort of startled because it was downtown and I didn't know what it was. And it was the house cat, because they had a cat that, lived there too. And it was such a beautiful, inclusive spirit where there were some people who were longtime members for 50 years and have been through all the changes, and some people who were visiting for the first time. And this whole vision of what it means to be church and what it means to be a sanctuary was much different than the brick building I was envisioning. Sometimes when we think of a safe place, we might also think of like a refuge, and other places, but the word itself, to be a sanctuary, the Latin of sanctus, of the holy, that there's a rich history and tradition of people seeking out the places that are holy as places of safety and refuge from secular troubles. And so in the Old Testament, there were cities that were designated as cities of refuge, where if one is in political trouble, one could at least seek refuge there for a time being while things got sorted out. And the same way, some Greek temples too, people could go there and you couldn't be persecuted while you were in the temple. Now, that's not a place where you can stay forever. But there are these moments and places where you can have that sense of safety, where you can have a break from the chaos and trauma of the world around. These practices all flow from the conviction that holiness is not just about purity or ritual in traditional religious sense, but also about the sense of refuge. And wherever the sacred dwells, there's protection there and safety. You know, another way of engaging with this sense of refuge is in the Buddhist practice of invoking the three refuges, where I go to the Buddha as my refuge, I go to the Dharma or teaching as my refuge, I go to the Sangha or congregation as my refuge. That sort of invoking the different layers, whether it might be I go to our Unitarian values as a sense of safety and refuge. I go to this physical space as a sense of refuge. And there's so much power in having that ability to have a place in a community where you can take a deep breath, where we can return to ourselves and be in community doing so. In my youth, I wasn't self-aware of particularly needing a safe place, because whether it was adolescence or privilege or a layered mix of everything, I would go on a long bike ride and not be worried about my physical safety. I'd go to school and not worry about there being a shooting. I didn't carry the worries of the world with me, in part because I was a kid, and I didn't know everything that was going on also. But what I do remember is this kid named Jeff, who was like twice my size, and when we played tag, he didn't believe in touch tag where you just touch. He'd like come after you. So I remember being on the playground, and I wasn't a slow kid, but I wasn't the fastest either. And did you ever play tag out here? Is that in the Midwest too? So imagine you're tag, and you're like running, and you're running, right? So watch out, this carpet's slippery. I learned that the first service. And then you go, and then you're running, you're out of breath. You're like, he's getting on me, he's gaining on me. Oh no! What's this called? Yeah. Some people call it home. Some people call it base. We all know what it is, and we know how good that feels. Because however much you've been chased, you're like, you can't touch me right now. For at least this period of time, whether it's 30 seconds or 5 minutes, at least for now I can catch my breath, can take a break, can reassess the situation. And it's hard if we lose places where we can touch base and return to ourselves, to become regulated again too, because there's so much in the world that's scary. And it's layered again because there are things happening in the news that I don't remember happening before, don't remember seeing before. I also know that 20 years ago, I wasn't paying as much attention, and I pay more attention now and see more things that cause me more anxiety. And we read the news and feel the steady hum of unease, climate collapse, wars, political hostility, loneliness, uncertainty. Even our screens, which promise connection, often feed us the opposite: comparison to others, outrage, fear, disconnection. You know, there's a cartoon that sometimes sums up this idea a little bit of the anxiety I'm trying to describe right now. Is anybody see that cartoon of a question hound? It was like 12 years ago, and it was a meme where there's a dog at the breakfast table with some coffee, and the caption just says, "It's fine." And the whole room, everything is burning and on fire all around him. And it just says, "It's fine." Like, maybe as long as it's not decaf, you know. It's like, it's fine. But how hard it is, like the gymnastics we do to say everything's okay and to get through the day. Whether we develop a caustic sense of humor to try to distance ourselves from the pain, or whether we close our eyes and pretend it's not happening, or say, like, maybe if I just wait long enough, this train wreck will be over and things will be okay on the other side. We have all of these these defense mechanisms to try to keep ourselves able to function in the world. And some of those coping strategies are more successful than others. Many of us have learned to live in burning rooms, pretending that the heat is normal. We've adapted to stress in ways that numb us. But our bodies remember what our minds try to dismiss. Prolonged fear or uncertainty takes up residence inside us. It can tighten our shoulders, shorten our breath, rob us of our sleep. It leaves us with a nervous system that doesn't know how to stand down. When the body lives in constant vigilance, it forgets what safety feels like. And at this point, I'd like to share just a simple difference between me and a deer. See, I'm sometimes envious of deer. I don't know if you ever feel envy. I'm not proud of it, but like a deer will be like walking along, and it just gets spooked. You know, it's nothing, like around here, not many things are trying to kill it, but it might be just like a car or a twig breaking, and it freaks out. It's like, whoa! And it runs like mad. It gets like 20 yards away and says, cool, everything's over. Like, in its mind, in its physical body, there is no anxiety and there is no fear. It's over with. I'd love to feel that. Because what happens to me is when I read the newspaper, like I'll read it tomorrow to say, like, oh, maybe it won't be as bad as yesterday. And I read that newspaper, and it sticks with me all day long. Like, how do I let go of that? Because us as humans, we have the stuff in here that sometimes holds on to things, sometimes in really helpful ways, and sometimes in ways that might not be that helpful. Like to keep perseverating on this fear, this hamster wheel of fear, and oh my gosh, and the weird thing about fear is when we get dysregulated like that, we don't think as clearly, we don't connect with other people as easily. It shortens our lifespans. There's a lot of things that are problematic of being in that state long term, and so it's so important to come back to places of safety and sanctuary where we can co-regulate, where we can reconnect with the divine, where we connect to our core values, and we feel safe being able to do that. And that's not something to take for granted. One person who knew this well was the theologian James Luther Adams. He had been a Unitarian minister in New England. He also taught at Harvard Divinity School for a number of years. And he was around during the 30s and saw what could happen on the International Theater. And he wasn't naive about some of the challenges of our prizing of individualism. Because we all love our individualism, right? Like that's something we care about. But it's hard to create sanctuary if you're by yourself. That we need community to do that. And so what James Luther Adams talks a lot about is, like one of his taglines is, by their institutions you shall know them. So if you want to know someone, he would argue, look at where they go, look at who they hang out with, look at what institutions they're connected to, and what they do in groups, because that is a lot of their identity. And so that communal life is under stress and challenge in so many different areas in our culture right now, of lower attendance and lots of different group affiliations. But if we carry that awareness that sanctuary is not only important, but it's sometimes a life and death matter, and how do we create that as a safe space for each other? That's why we gather in churches and fellowship and community centers. That's why we light chalices to inform covenants, because love without structure is too easily scattered. When we create a church or support a cause or show up for one another, we are building the architecture of hope. And maybe that's what we need most in this moment. Not only a shelter for us as people, but even a shelter for hope itself. Because hope can be a tender thing. It can also be stubborn. But in a cynical age, it's important to protect hope as well. Maybe it needs sanctuary as well. It needs communities that protect it from despair and people who speak it out loud when others have forgotten how. Rituals that remind us that goodness is not extinct, only obscured. Sanctuary is where hope goes to rest, to recover its courage, and to dream again. And so, when we gather to sing, to pray, to plan, to protest, we are, in effect, creating a field of safety around hope itself. When we say, you belong here, your dreams belong here, love still has work to do, and we will work together. Yeah, the fires still burn around us. The storms will still come. But here together, we tend another kind of flame. One that doesn't destroy but warms, one that doesn't consume but lights the way. May this community and the lives we live beyond it be that light. May we foster this institution and the good work it does. May we support our partner institutions. May we become, in our words and deeds, sanctuaries of hope, living reminders that even in anxious times, even when fear seems to have the upper hand, love still shelters and hope still finds a home. Amen.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 139 in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us.
Will
now in peace, but not in complacency. Go with hearts steady enough to hold both the world's ache and its promise. May we create sanctuary together. Support your institutions, but create it in your lives and in other ways as well. Letting your breath become a place of calm amidst the storm. Your very words a refuge for the weary. Your life a shelter where hope can rest and rise again, and where the world feels too sharp or too loud, may you remember the whisper that lives beneath all things. That spirit of life we sing about, may it encourage us, and may we know that we don't need to be afraid all the time, that you are loved, you are home, and in this holy place, we are indeed building a sanctuary of hope. May we continue to make it so. Amen.
Which is why I didn't fix your stall. I was like, he's on a roll.